Y'all know what it is. It's the usual suspect 650-50 draw. Buy your tickets now for your chance at winning half the pot. Cash App, $ usual 50-50. Tickets on sale for $10 for one, $20 for 3 tickets, and $50 for 10 tickets. Put your desired amount, name or alias, as well as your email address, and your tickets will be set. We announce the winning ticket numbers every other Friday on Supreme Beats Boxing Talk Bullshit on the Beltway, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Remaining proceeds will go directly to the LDDC meet and greet in Las Vegas. Shout out to the LDDC. And remember,
it's a usual suspect day.
Y'all know what it is. It's the Find the Boxer game. Purchase a box for a chance at winning $500. One of 54 boxes has a missing boxer inside. Purchase your box or boxes by Cash App, $ usual 50-50. Include your box number, name, and email address. Your box number will be confirmed and sent directly to your email. Each box is $20, with a 1 in 54 chance of winning. Remaining proceeds will go directly to the LDDC meet and greet in Las Vegas. Shout out to the LDDC, and remember,
it's a usual suspect day.
best grooming cutters for you. Dress so natural and handcrafted too. We wanna help be a swagger, style, class, and luxury. Makeup products that are made for you with high quality. Yeah, so get in style with the black, yeah. Company, you swagger, style, class, and luxury, in luxury, yeah. Black, gentleman, black, yeah. Company, you swagger, style, class, and luxury, in luxury, yeah.
Located at www.theblackgent.com.
Yo. What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to Answering the Bell with Stormybman, our Sunday morning call-in show for this Sunday, May 25th, 2025. This is number 167 in the series of call-ins, and we are talking about another multi-card weekend of boxing. Yeah. So welcome everybody. Sorry about the little bit of a delay, but you know how it is. It wouldn't be the Stormybman channel without them trying to run some interference on what I'm doing over here. But again, you have to roll with it, baby. Yeah. And get it done, huh? So salute to everybody. Hope you're bracing yourselves for a wonderful holiday weekend, as tomorrow is Memorial Day, and some of y'all will use that as an excuse to act out, huh? But just show a little reserve, show a little discipline, huh? And keep the lawmen, out of your business, huh? And stay from being placed behind those bars. Because some of y'all like that, huh? You find comfort and a sense of peace when you're behind those bars. And some of us feel a little bit better when you're there. Yeah! So, what's good? I hope you have had a chance to enjoy some boxing this weekend like I have. It seems like I've been a man on an island, huh? Talking about the cards of this weekend. But that's okay. Because, it bees like that sometimes. It bees like that. But we're going to still persevere and press forward, huh? Yeah. Because, we see all types of things going on, huh? We see all types of things going on. But the boxing world is where I'm focused, huh? I'm focused on that, at least. Some people can't focus. Some people find themselves doing some things that they shouldn't be doing, huh? But hey, we're gonna take a moment to see who we got out there in the building. Well, I won't do the roll call just yet. I'll let you guys kind of file in, because some of y'all like to get in late. I understand how that works, huh? Some of y'all come in late, be dragging in, huh? But that's why I save plenty of F pluses, because I know what the majority does. I know I'm already prepared, but y'all ain't. Yeah. And we're going to make it do what it do. Yeah. So, just a little opening jab for some of y'all as we get started on today's show. I like to do things in my own little way. And sometimes it's just a lot of fun. You got to have some fun when you're doing what you do, huh? You got to have some fun doing what you do. So This is for y'all who get here bright and early, huh? With Stormybman have a little something in the bag for you. Check it out. Make sure you pay close attention to your screens, huh?
Derek, can you talk to us about the fight? What you think? What you think about the fight, the outcome, Ryan's performance?
Yeah. Yeah. Huh? Because, I mean, you know, some people be confused, huh? People be confused, man. You walk up and you say, hey, you want to know what happened on May 2nd, huh? So you pull the cornerman, the chief second, huh? And you try to query him over the events, and this is how he responds?
Derek, can you talk to us about the fight? What you think? What you think about the fight, the outcome, Ryan's performance?
Yeah. You see? Allah is the master planner. Didn't Devin say that? He said it, right? And he gets the opportunity to dance, huh? Off of this mound of bull crap that these guys kind of send your way. Listen. And salute to BF. I saw BF's clip earlier where he showed the sparring session, the unedited version of Devin and Tank sparring. So that's really gonna make them mad, huh? And I should capture a little clip of that and put it on here too, and then show Devin dancing. Yeah, man, don't they get mad over this? They really get mad, huh? But it's a shame. It's a shame because it don't have to be that way, but it is, and we're gonna enjoy it, huh? Till its full extent. Till its full extent. Listen. Man, what I enjoy about boxing is it's the truth teller, huh? Boxing will always bring you to a place where you learn, hey man, it's going down, huh? Now, what many people didn't really realize is that on Saturday morning, in the wee hours of the morning, while some of y'all was out there at some places that you ain't supposed to be, huh, with who you ain't supposed to be with, huh, there was a little featherweight title bout of the IBF over in Japan, huh, Tokyo, where my man Angelo Leo defended his title against Tomiko Kameda. And Kameda is a damn good fighter who had been hanging around the bantam and featherweight divisions, where he's been a strong contender, just narrowly missing winning a title. So they even brought Leo over there, offered him a boatload of cash to defend his title over in Japan. Now, just to give you a precursor of how things were set up, though Leo was the champion, they bring him on over here and they introduce him first during the main event introductions. Kameda was introduced second. They had even given Kameda flowers. You know, in Japan, that's a courtesy that they always do. They give the fighters flowers. Well, this is what happened, and he was introduced second. But guess what? He still ended up second. When it was all said and done, salute to Leo for winning and defending his title on foreign grounds. Sometimes they set you up to be in those kind of positions that you don't be victorious. And Angelo Leo is a man now that you can actually say is a world champion, because he not only took on a top challenger under hostile circumstances, things stacked against him, and he went over there and came back with his world title. So hats off to Leo for doing what he was able to do, because there's many a people who have gone over there, including a man who Leo lost to. His only loss on this record is for Stephen Fulton. Yeah, there you go. And you know what happened when Stephen Fulton went over there and took on Monster Inoue, But he forgot to bring his sleeping bag and pillow, because Inoue showed him what was up, And he didn't want to really pay attention to what Stormybman had said early in the pre-fight breakdown when I said he don't go over there letting that guy hit you, But he didn't listen, Like a lot of y'all don't listen, I say the show starts at 10:30, and here he is just coming in, and it's about 10 minutes to 11, F plus all the way around the board. Yeah, for all of you, Yeah! So, anyway, that was the intro to this weekend's action, But let me take a moment and see who we got in the building, because I got to acknowledge what's happening. We got my brother Drew Titan first out there saying like button smashed. Yeah. Shaquila Fields is out there saying salute Stormybman and chat family, driving and listening. Antonio MMA, where you been, bro? He's back with us. What's going on with you? Universal Truth is in the building saying salute Sensei. Shamar Rashawn Shalom in the building saying salute to the Sensei. And he says that Josh Taylor is washed. Also, all that weight bullying is over and done with for him. Now we see it was smoke and mirrors to some degree. J-Man cracking up laughing at some of my jokes with Derek James and Devin Dancing. Yeah. Scrapbook Boxing, my brother, is in the building this morning. Where you at, Scrap? Because we need to talk. Stop ducking me, son. We got to have that conversation, bro, on them videos. Scrapbook says, peace to my brother Stormy. Love, I'm back. Drop background. He said, shout to my brother Drew and the members of the chat. Freedom's March is back with us. And Joe, there he is. What's going on, Joe? See, you found your way, How did you find your way back in my chat again? I told you all you had to do was click on the name. You asking me to drop a link and this and that. Like, I find that kind of confrontational, Joe. So if you don't want to get hit with that right hand by Stormybman, be careful, Clay King is in the building. What's happening? He says, salute. Freedom's March is cracking up laughing. He says, I hear you, Sensei. NBA D Nice is back with us saying salute to the Sensei. and everybody else is greeting one another. And Judah is out there saying salute Stormy. Yeah. No, it's okay, Joe. It just makes for more content, bro, when I get a chance to come out swinging, That's why you got to learn how to slip, and bob and weave, and catch and parry and shoot and all of that. See, that's what there's a genuine education over here on Stormy's channel. Though many don't want to admit that, it's very true, you see, because some people gotta learn, as Apollo Creed says, the hard way, Even he learned the hard way when he got in there with that Russian, and the Russian sent him into that boxing ring into the sky, Yeah! Yep. So, The other multi-card that we saw this past weekend was Josh Taylor taking on Essuman, where he was shown the reality of what it means to be over the hill, And Essuman did it where his nickname or his alias, the Machine, he went to work on Taylor, who seemingly ran out of gas after four of those 3 minutes, He couldn't keep up with the Machine, So the Tartan Tornado, Tornado turned into a gentle Zephyr, If you all don't know what Zephyr is, look it up, Because see, Stormybman ain't gonna tell you everything, You gotta use the thinkums, as my granddad used to say, sometimes to make through this mired muck. Yeah. So look up the word Zephyr, Zephyr, Zephyr. Yeah. And you'll find out what that is. It applies to the Tartan Tornado. So now he's just a Tart Zephyr. Yeah. You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. So here we are, and we're here to talk about some boxing this weekend. Some of y'all might be prepared. A lot of you ain't, So we're gonna open up them phone lines. We're gonna talk some boxing today. And I'll even test the phone line for you because, some of y'all be trying to pretend like, oh, well, Sensei, I dialed, but the number didn't work, Well, we're going to see how the number works when Stormybman dials it, Uh-oh, did that sound like it rang? It sure did, So you can be like Lurch. You rang. Yeah, we out here. Clay King in the building says, this is one brother I would not want to debate, Let me tell you something about debates, man. Debates can be educational. They can be informative, But if you're talking about matching wits, which some of these people out here in these airwaves choose to do, that's a losing battle. Because you might have wit, you might be informed, but the other party may not, And so therefore it is futile, We can both agree that there are facts, and we can both agree that there are opinions, And opinions are just like anal specters on people, We all have them, And they stink, don't they? Opinions aren't always glorified or celebrated, They are often, smelly, when it is especially coming from someone else, a foreign area. Yeah. So, I do not truffle myself with those type of things. I have long before risen above that. And as you go on in life, you should understand why that is yourself. But everyone has to walk their own path. Yes. There is something that I have to do. So I'll have to let you all know that Stormybman has to take a quick break from the mic only because someone is coming. So let it be known. Let's see, 1 second here. We got this call coming here. Okay, we got 781 in the building. Who's calling? What's on your mind? What's happening?
Stormybman, salute. It's Joe Gagliardi from Boston from the chat.
Hey, what's happening, Joe?
How you doing? I just want to support real quick. I just want to call in real quick because I got the kids, but I want to say salute to you, Drew, DF, the whole crew. You guys get me through my week. Great content, and I appreciate all the shows.
Oh man, much appreciated for that compliment, brother. We all out here, we all have our little way of doing what we do, but you can believe that it is done with the utmost of trying to be not only revealing and forthcoming with factual based information, but clarity, because there's a lot of foolishness out here, man. But we're very consistent when it comes to that. It's just that the few of us, we have our own way of, being able to put the information out there and whatnot. But see, as I told someone last week during one of my shows, I said, be more reticent to be a listener first. Because, people want to speak. They have a tendency to want to talk. But sometimes when you're talking too fast, you don't allow what's being said to sink in, where you can take information in positively and be able to disseminate that type of information and understand more. If you're talking all the time, there's not much coming in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, that's what I'm working on. I learned a lot from you. Appreciate the shows. I'll be listening. I'll be back in the chat listening. I get the kids, so I appreciate you taking the call and show. Salute.
Yeah, thank you so much. And listen, unless I'm going off on one of my tangents, my show is not gonna be to where you gotta, hide the kids' ears, because what I say a lot has to do with elevating, and even children can learn that. You understand what I'm saying? So you don't even have to be worried. Well, that's Stormy on, so I got my kids with me. I better be careful. I might want to listen later, huh? No, that's not because.
I didn't even mean it like that.
No. I didn't take it like that. I'm just explaining that. Oftentimes, I've had, channel subscribers and members when my membership was active. They tell me, man, Stormy, my kid loves what you say. And when you say such and such and this and that, it's like, because they hear it and then they're like, wow, it touches them. But see, that's from a long lineage of dealing with people. And it doesn't matter if you're talking to a babe or if you're talking to a senior, you still should be able to communicate and articulate to get your point across. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
For sure. The breath of fresh air listening to guys like you guys. Because it's like, like you said, there's a lot of foolishness. I'm not going to say any names or not. Other people talk to other channels. That's why I messed with you guys. Because I'm from, I was brought up to Sam and from a similar background. I really appreciate how you guys keep it real, and it's good because there's not a lot of people like that these days, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, most now are just going for popularity and money, economics. You know what I mean? And right. I've never went into this for the economic aspect of it, but I can bet you that there are people who would not even own up to acknowledging that they listen to my content, but they are in a better place as a result of having the experience. I can bet you that. And you can't put a price on that. You know what I'm saying? You can't.
For sure. That's great stuff. Thanks for the call. Thanks for taking the call. I'll be listening.
Okay. Thank you. Take care, Joe. Good to hear from you. All right. Peace. All right, that was Joe giving us a call. He was hitting me up in Drew's chat yesterday. He wanted to make sure he got back to the channel after making some changes. And I told him, I said, all you got to do is click on that name, man. It'll take you right where you need to be. So appreciate him reaching out this morning. So we got one call down, hopefully more to come. Can we get you guys to come in? But what I was about to say just as Joe was calling is I'm going to step away from the mic really quick. I got to handle something, but I'm not, shutting nothing down or whatever. It's just going to be a quick moment. So bear with me and enjoy the musical interlude. Yeah. Okay, I'm back. Had to take care of something really quick. But we are here, man. It's the call-in show. Call in. Let's talk about the fights from yesterday. Let's talk about what's coming up. We've got a lot of good stuff on the horizon. And I'm telling you, man, 2025 might be one of the best years for the sport of boxing. And we haven't even been inundated with Turki Al-Ashik's promotions, but he's been a part of things. But boy, has he stirred the ground, turned over the soil for people to get back into the sport in the most positive of ways. I love that alone. That's a wonderful thing that we're seeing better matchups, more competitive bouts, guys who are taking risks, and it means a lot. It means a hell of a lot. So let's talk about it. Scrapbook, you still out there? Call in, brother. All you guys, you watching, you call in. Don't be shy. Let's have a conversation about our, sport of boxing. We got to do this. Yeah. Now with all of these folks out here, it says we got about 15 of them things. Somebody should call in. Let's drive the show forward with some conversation. I know that, who was that? Shamar Rashan Shalom was saying that he feels that Josh Taylor had been being a weight bully. And finally, against Essuman, he, has petered out. Well, my thought process on that is Josh has had some rough fights in his career, but he's also burned the candle at both ends, particularly after becoming the undisputed super lightweight champion, 140 pounds, junior welterweight. He was drinking and getting into some issues and, off the boxing scene type deal. And hey, that's never good. You will find that for every man that runs into those type of issues, there are men who don't do that and they can sustain credibility and their natural talents and ability to persevere and continue on in the sport, even after suffering setbacks, which we can refer to as losses or lessons. But sometimes you can't get away from the devil. He got you in his traps. And you could see by his performance, like I said, Taylor was good for like 3 rounds. Then after that, it appeared that, it was over. So that makes 3 fights in a row, going back to June of 2023 when he dropped a fight against Teofimo Lopez, that WBO title, followed up by a year later in May of 2024. He lost to Jack Catterall in their rematch, which took a couple of years to take place because he originally fought Jack Catterall in 2022 and won a split decision that many people felt that was not a victory. So if you really want to look at it, he's lost 4 fights in a row. 4. And that's a lot. Now, what's interesting is on the flip side of things, Essuman hadn't fought the type of opposition that Taylor has. Could he get a victory over someone like that? Or has he just slipped so much Taylor that now someone like Asuman can even handle him because he was only like a regional level talent? It remains to be seen. But if Asuman gets a challenge for the WBO title, we will see. From what I understand, Tio is supposed to be moving up and away from the weight class. So Asuman may be fighting someone else for the WBO welterweight title shot. We'll find out. King Fuse's Lit House in the building. What's happening with you? Salute to you. Yeah, salute to you, bro. So, you guys are a little hesitant to call in this morning, I see. I don't know why. I don't know why. Well, I can understand why T.O.'s people would like to see Boots. And Brian Norman Jr. has moved on to his fight with Jin Susaki. But Brian Norman Sr. has said something recently that should put something on your mind about the fact why T.O. and his people may want to see Boots. Very interesting. I'm going to play something for you about Brian Norman Sr. You guys will see what I'm talking about. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if I can play this. I'm going to halt my music so you can hear it clearly. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it clearly. Let me play this sound bite. Okay, I'm back, fam. I'm back. It's a damn shame they be pulling this foolishness, man. Damn shame. Okay, what I was going to play for you about Brian Norman Sr. Listen to this audio from Brian Norman Sr. He was being interviewed, and it was about his thoughts on Jaron Ennis. Like I said, I'll stop my music so you can hear it clearly. But check this out.
Oh, Coach, how could you say Boots has no power when he has 31 wins and 28 knockouts? What would your response be to that?
I would say that him and another fighter I know that I raised and trained and everything else had the same manager. And the first 20 or so fights was all on handpicked. I know him like a book. And I'm talking about the guy, the manager we had. They had the same manager. I know him. Go look at the record. Go look at the first 20 fights or so. and then go look at who they fought. Look at it. It was all the battle of the numbers. It was with the perfect people how to build them up. That's what it was. Now when it got stepped up, when it came to lifting nets, 140 pounds, it was all done by design. Same thing Floyd did. I'm not saying Floyd, with cherry picking. I'm saying it's the same thing he did. Same thing Tank did. They bring people up. They bring them up. These guys was all smaller. These guys, you got long arms. You got this, you got that, and just like they're looking at it this way, I'm looking at Lipinets like, but Lipinets took a whole lot of goddamn punches. And he never was scared. He did, just like the rest of them. He took a whole lot of fucking, he got punched in the face, he got punched in the body, he got punched everywhere till the referee stopped him.
Right.
You get what I'm coming from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got a flat-footed person that can't close the fucking distance. You just running straight. You can't catch no angles. You just running straight in. I'm just poo, pop, poo, and I punch on you for 7-8 rounds, and you can take it for 7-8 rounds. People not looking at it with my eyes. I'm like, bro, you not hit hard. This is a 140-pound man, an older 140-pound man.
Yeah.
He's an older 140-pound man, 33, 34, some shit like that. He was older, 140-pound man coming up, small, short, can't catch no angle, there's no path to you except back and forth. I'm looking at all of that. He called Thomas Delorme, another step up behind the head, go look at it. He called Cussio Clay behind the head, go look at it. Hell, I should look at it. He called Roman Villa 3 times behind it. He slammed his hand on the back of Roman Villa head 3 times. You go look at it. But he beat him up now. He would have stopped him anyway. But he did. So I'm not taking that win away from him. But the Delorme, the Cussio Clayton, that was bullshit. He hit the ball behind the head.
Wow. You see that? That's coming from Norman Sr. That's coming from Norman Sr. directly. And he's got a valid point. A valid point. Yeah. I try to tell you guys, it's like you especially when you can let people hear, for themselves what he has to say, Hey. Anybody got thoughts on that? Any thoughts? It's like we got almost 20 people in here. Hey, let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. Where are the calls at, man? Let's talk about it. Freedom's March. You don't want to call in? Shamar Rashan Shalom. You don't want to call in? Express yourselves, man. J-Man. Antonio, what's happening? I try to present you guys with opportunity, and nobody wants to seize opportunity. Let me double check that phone line since it was acting up earlier with my system freezing, just to make sure it's still open. Okay. The line is still open. Look at the people dropping off now. It's like nobody wants to participate. I've told you guys so many different occasions. I know what to do when you get like that. Okay, we got 706 on the phone. Who's calling? What's on your mind? And welcome to the show.
Ooh, Sensei, this is Jack.
Jay?
Jack.
Jet?
Jack, big fan of the Noise on Culture show.
Okay, no problem. Welcome, man. How you doing?
Doing great. Just trying to call in and show some support, get a little conversation started.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's what it's for. That's what the call in is for. You know what's amazing? Some people, they may want to call, but they won't call. It's like they hold themselves back. But what they don't realize is the whole purpose of the call-in show is to establish conversation. It's like it's an opportunity to throw something in the ring of, subject matter or whatever and talk. I'm not here to beat nobody up or bash them or nothing like that. It's to have conversation, about our various subjects and content. So yeah, welcome.
Yeah, people don't talk anymore. I work in healthcare, and I see it all the time. People just don't talk. They don't communicate. They want to use their little phones and their tablets and all this stuff all the time.
And that's very true. That's very true, because you could go out for dinner, right? And you could see a family, or you could see couples sitting at the dining table, and everybody is on their device. Nobody's sitting there holding conversation. I'm not saying each and every person that goes out. I'm saying the majority. When you look around, you'll see two people in the presence of one another, but they're both on their devices. Or what's even more funny? You could be driving down the street and pass another vehicle where there's several people in a car or a van or a truck, and everybody is on a device, sometimes including the damn driver. It's ridiculous.
I'll have two coworkers sitting right next to each other. They won't even talk. They'll be texting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're sitting right next to each other. We know who you texted.
Yeah, and that builds a wall of lack of sensory to others. You don't interact or engage anymore. You used to walk down the street and look at a person and say, "Good morning, how are you?" People now, they feel like you're invading their space if you say good morning to them. It's a natural thing, and it's like, wow. But see, in this country, that's what they've done. And I'm going to tell you, it is so deep. I don't necessarily want to have a conversation about this or what I'm about to say on the air, but I just want to put it out for food for thought. What was this country built on, according to what you remember about history? And I'm not presuming your age or anything, but what you have learned about history, what was this country built on?
To have choices, to be free, allegedly.
I'm sorry?
To have choices, to be free, freedom of choice.
No, I'm not talking about from a political thing. I'm talking about how this country was shaped and formed. How was that done?
Honestly, Sensei, I don't know.
Okay, through slavery.
Oh, yeah.
Slavery.
Yes,
okay. Now, do you know what the term slavery truly means? If you don't, it's okay because I'm not trying to put something on you heavily to make it or point out like, oh, you don't know this or that. We're having conversation.
But see, that's the thing. If you don't know, you can ask somebody.
Exactly.
You can be informed by someone who does know. And a lot of these people are afraid of looking stupid.
Right. The term slavery means a condition compared to that of being in exhausting labor or restricted freedoms, servitude, subjugation, under the authority of another. Now, if the nation was built that way, and then we got to a place and point of technology and the advancements of invention and stuff like that, where it may not necessarily no longer been a requisite, right, or a requirement, only to the benefit of someone who built off of servitude, right? So you could have someone who, well, I'm used to someone else running my bath water, cooking my meals, rubbing my back, washing my body. I don't have to do anything but just get up, eat, and poop, you know? And even they clean up behind that. Okay, that's no longer. So now it's, okay, I got to do this stuff myself. You know, I got it. Man, it's a lot. You know, I can't handle it. Well, you see, therein lies the problem. But even as time goes on, technology increases more and more and more. You got people now, and let's bring it up to today. It's like what we were just talking about. You got these devices. You could talk on them. You can communicate. You could see someone who's in another country over a Zoom and all of that. It makes it less person-to-person contact. And I'm not saying that slavery kept personal contact. The only contact that kept was the subjugators overseeing those who were under submission. And that's not a good thing either. But from that point, you had animosities, right? And people wanting to fight back and fight off those conditions. Well, it was never dealt with properly. And as technology grew and things changed, now you have people who, in a sense, feel a little more liberated, although they're not, because they're still slaves to technology and things of that nature. But the animosities that never got dealt with, like, you know, when you say you go see a therapist or something, when it was never dealt with properly, that was always left to fester. And now you add these other circumstances on top of that. And what do you have? A firecracker ready to pop. Because you have things that were never really dealt with, and you have all these add-ons and things like that. And then you have other people who, through the ages, grew up under different circumstances that may not have been as harsh for others that predecessed, you know, but now it's a real trip. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here?
Yes, sir.
Our society is like that. Now, when I say our society, I have to speak from the vantage point of the U.S. I can't talk about the other nations because I wasn't raised and extended through the history of the other nations. But here, definitely. And so here, what the experience has been, and knowing what the causality is, and understanding what it would take to make change. There are many people who don't want to change because they've been conditioned to receive the authoritative purpose that the overseer has had. And it's like, that's the only benefiter there. That's why you have a class of what they call the elites. And then you have those who are not the elites. But why are the elites considered elite?
Probably because they've tricked everybody into thinking that the things they have are special, such as money, such as fame, and they've made a world in which they have all these people fighting to get the stuff that they have that they're never going to let them obtain.
Well, then it's not a trick. See, in order to trick you, deceive you, run game on you, there has to be a rule of order. But if I erase the ideology of a rule of order and just give you chaos, you know, the human mind is a sponge. You can absorb so much. But if I constantly keep you under duress, under oppression, under a sense of acting to a degree where you are only within your emotions and feelings and things of that nature, you can't ever get to that point where you think on that level of overseeing and seeing beyond what's before you. You can't do that. That's why they talk about bad relationships. When someone is at someone else and always doing something, you don't get room to breathe or think or whatever. It tears you down. It wears you. And that's that old Gestapo mindset of subjugating an entity. So these things, like I said, they run very deep. Very deep. And you're not thought to think of that. You're not thought to think in your best interests. You're not. They don't want you to have that.
Yeah, they want you under control.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, they've been getting away with it for so long, so, I mean.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But I was calling because that show, you had a noise show last week, Sinners.
Yes,
That's a
yes.
great movie.
It is, man. Isn't it something?
Yeah, people say From Dusk, it's way better than From Dusk to Dawn. When I started watching it about a third of the way through, I was kind of thinking it had some similarities from Dusk to Dawn because you had two brothers and you had kind of a switch in the movie to a vampire. But it's way better. From Dusk to Dawn is kind of a mindless movie. That movie had a lot of thought. It was a lot put into that movie.
Yep.
From Dusk to Dawn was just running around shooting chaos.
Right.
But this movie was actually special. I mean, I think they're both classic movies. But to me, I think that's the best vampire movie I've seen since Lost Boys.
Yeah, and you could also take certain elements from the film about when you think about ethnicities and history behind ethnicities in this country and actually external, because you had that one character that was he was Irish and he was from Ireland. So he wasn't even from here. But being here, he could assimilate right into the Caucasians, right? Because understand that in this nation, some of the Irish that were coming in from overseas, they faced prejudices and bigotry too. And even the IRA and everything over there now, it's still a mess, you know. The Asian family and their existence coming from where they come from historically and settling in here during the gold rush and building the railroads and everything, there's a history, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you could gain so much just from knowing who's being represented, especially
people of the United States.
There you go. And especially if you are one of those that had representation in the film. Now, there are people who have complained that they weren't represented in the film, and they mad about that. But they shouldn't be, because they weren't a part of that process. Do you understand?
Yeah, they weren't.
And that's a reality. You can't put what they call it, DEI in everything. Yeah. That's because that doesn't apply here. But what I liked about what Ryan Coogler did, and he wrote this film as well as directed and produced it, was that it was almost a love letter of an understanding about what the experience of being in this country is all about. And then at the root of it, you put a little bit of faith-based reality, being involved in the church, son of a preacher. And then you put the dark aspect of it, sinning, being in the world, the cardinal, I'm not cardinal, the carnal sense of things. So you've got the scales of justice, the balances. You got a lot there to work with. And if you are a person of a certain type of elevated mentality, you can understand these things even better. You see? And that's what was great about that film. Drew and I had both had a chance to see it just before we did that episode, which was very timely because I had seen it the Thursday before it opened, and for us to come back on that Monday and talk about it, it's like, man, that's some great stuff. You know what I mean? It's like to be able to take that in and be like, wow, that's,
Yeah, it was a great movie with great actors. The Irish guy in that movie, he's actually in another show. I don't know if you've seen it, but I think you would really like it. It's called Road Heroes. It's about the foundation and the early exploits of the SAS. Are you familiar with the show?
I am not. I don't watch a lot of regular TV. Don't really have the time. So there's probably a ton of things that I haven't seen and not aware of. But I know his performance was excellent in this Sinners. And Coogler gave him an opportunity to even bring his cultures, even down to the Irish jig dance and everything, all of that, to be able to include that, because see, that's the reality of that's real. You know what I mean? It wasn't like just done for show or entertainment. No, this is a part of culture that's being disseminated out there.
He plays a character in there called Blair Pattyman, which is basically Chuck Norris of World War II.
Okay.
This guy won pretty much every award except for the Victoria Cross, but he really won that. They just took it away from him. I mean, this guy he's one of the greatest war heroes of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just an absolute madman, the stuff he did. When they first got him, he was in jail for beating up his CO.
Okay.
So basically, it's like the English version of the Dirty Dozen, but it's actually true. It's a great show. I mean, it's a great show. I don't think Tito's going to fight anybody. I've heard you talking about him earlier about wanting to fight Brian Norman and having the opportunity to fight Devin Haney and talking about fighting Boots. I don't think he'll fight any of those guys. I think he's going to try to fight Rolly Ryan or Conor Benn or someone who's really not that good, because he doesn't want to lose his little fame. And if he loses to one of those guys like Haney or Norman, he's almost going to be out of boxing.
Well, were you able to listen to that sound bite that
I heard Brian Norman's dad?
Yeah. I thought that was very interesting, because if you think about what he says in that soundbite,
They're built fighters.
Right, but not just that. Not just that, but the opponents that they're selecting fall under a certain type of, and they do it deceivingly. It's like they don't have to be the same kind of boxing style, but the principles are all the same. See, like let's use T.O. as an example. T.O. is smaller and coming up from smaller weight class. So though they may even be trying to give you the impression that they don't want to fight the guy, he will eventually accept someone like that because he fits the criteria of what they're doing. That's why looking straight across at Norman Jr. is not something they want to do right now, because they want to feed and get to where get through what they're doing to a certain degree until the eating on that is done, and then they may have to, face something differently. But it's really been right there in front of your face. But see, like when we say stuff like that, when we try to inform the masses, hey, look, check this out, you guys, we'll pull your coattail on something, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that because they like who they like and what they like, and they don't think anything outside of that is important.
They don't realize you can like who you like and still realize that person is just not as good as you think. They may be really great, but they may not be an all-time great like you think. They have to go out there and prove it to be an all-time great, to be a legendary fighter. And these guys aren't proving it.
Listen, there's so much casualness out there that it's almost an insult to my intelligence to hear some of these guys talk and speak how they speak, because I'm like, listen, I done seen more fights than these guys can possibly, dream about, because a lot of them aren't even 40 years old yet, right? So I have a track record and a run of experience of stuff they don't even know about. But just like when they talk about someone, oh, so and so is a great fighter, really? How do you determine that? So and so is a great fighter. What have they done to display greatness? If you want to talk about the fighters of the Western world right now, the U.S., very few of them can be considered great at all. They may be in the category of having had great potential, but they have done nothing great in their careers. First of all, in order to ascend to a point and a degree of consideration for greatness, you have to have had the type of circumstances that allow you to show some greatness. Coming from behind, overcoming, returning, totally eliminating the consideration of contemporary or whatever, and you can't attach that to anyone's name who has a name in the sport of boxing coming out of the U.S. presently.
Maybe Devin.
Well, Devin, well, he has, but guess what? His story is still being written, but by you saying maybe him, he's one of, my goodness, how many others?
To me, he's the most accomplished young boxer, and he's done it under the worst circumstances that anyone else has had.
Yep. But see, I already know that, but look at how the establishment treats him. You know why that is?
Because this is my opinion, because he's a real black man. He's not fake.
Not just that.
A lot of these guys are fake. They're
not just that.
Out there to look a certain way.
Not just that, but it's also a part of the participation trophy generation, where by not giving him the consideration of what he's achieved and everything like that, you can keep these other guys around him as if they are his colleagues and contemporaries, and they're really not. So understand, and there you won't find a more solid supporter of Devin than myself. I'm always talking about he and his dad, almost to a degree that even the trolls don't come to my channel about it, because they, first of all, I don't deal with that kind of foolishness, but they may be out there listening and don't like what I'm saying. But I've never told any lies when it has come down to he and what his dad has done. I know what their positions are, but when I spoke of the fighters across the U.S. as a whole, I give you an example of what I'm talking about. How about Jermell Charlo? There was a point a few years ago before he fought Canelo Alvarez that Jermell Charlo had really begun to assert himself as someone of notoriety at the junior middleweight division. So much to the degree that you might have even been able to start talking about him even being great. What would have made that for him would have been not he going to fight Canelo, but fighting the winner of the Spence-Crawford fight. Because those were his colleagues and contemporaries that could have put that hammer, that hammer on the nail, the what do they call it, the gavel.
Nail in the coffin.
Yeah, because those were the men that could really define something where he was. He opted, instead of facing Crawford, because we know Crawford prevailed in the fight with Spence, instead of facing Crawford, he opted to go up and fight Canelo. 2 weight classes.
And
Now,
then didn't fight.
hold on. But nobody said anything about him doing that like they're talking about Bud right now. Right?
Right.
Nobody said anything. But let's dial it back to Bud again and Heat. It would have been a historical moment for the welterweight undisputed champion to face the junior middleweight undisputed champion, for all the marbles between the two of them, and a legacy fight that can guarantee not only a place in the history books, but in the minds of the public that love the sport. We're not talking about these guys who are the fly-by-nighters. I just rock with him because he's from Texas and all that. No, we're talking about people who love the sport of boxing. And it'd be like, man, do you remember that matchup between Charlo and Bud? For all that, man, that was a fight. Do you see what I'm saying? It would have been perfect for them. And he blew it. He blew it. He blew it out the water. Because I'm going to tell you, either somebody got in his ear because they knew what I'm talking about, and he may have taken and listened to them, or he was too ignorant to understand what I'm just now talking about. It had to be one of the two. I don't think he was afraid of Bud or anything like that.
I think he was too ignorant.
Exactly. Because you remember when Errol was interested in making the fight with Bud, everybody on the PBC side of things, the business people, Heyman, all of that, they didn't want it to happen. They didn't want it to happen. The fight happened because of Errol. Errol wanted to make that fight. He wanted that opportunity to become the undisputed welterweight champion. And hats off to him because he chose his legacy and everything over the people talking in his ear and all of that kind of stuff. Now, unfortunately, he didn't win. However, he still did it. And they too, he and Bud, have a place in history because they faced each other. You can never take that away, regardless of how the outcome was for one or the other. The same could have been true to a stronger degree for Charlo because it was made to look like he ran from Tim Tszyu, he ran from Bud, he went up to face Canelo and he didn't win. Then he lost all the belts. It's like it just totally went downhill for him.
It seems like it almost ruined his career.
Exactly.
When a blood fight could have made his career.
Exactly. Do you see? That's what I'm talking about, bro.
Have a rematch. Canelo was never going to rematch you, and you were probably never going to get that win unless you knocked him out. But if you would have beat Crawford or had a good fight with Crawford, you could have done it again. And then if you won that fight, you could have fought Errol for more money.
Or the fight with Crawford could have been so good that it called for a rematch.
Yes.
And still you would have Errol or whatever. And then you would have a drama with a fight with Errol. You have a thing that says like they were once close friends and this and now they're fighting. You see what I'm saying? You've built your own narratives and for yourself. Yes, but you threw all of that away and you give it to Canelo, who hasn't earned a damn thing. He hasn't earned a damn thing. Canelo has enjoyed so much privilege. What happened to the rematch against Bivol? Exactly. Just like he's not going to fight Bitter Beef. Just like he's not going to fight Benavidez. He has run from so many people, bro. I wonder if he's truly a boxer or is he a damn track star? Seriously. And it's like we have to eat this from him? He's horrible. And you can say what you want or whatever. The cartel is behind that boy. And they got their hand and foot in Suleiman's rear end too. That's why he's made all these different rules for him and try to make provisions for him and everything. But that's what that's all about. And these guys run around here looking up the backside of him as if he's somebody. Julio Cesar Chavez was a real one. So was Salvador Sanchez. Those are real Mexican legends. Juan Manuel Marquez, Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales. Those were the real ones. Not this guy who looks just like he's from Ireland. And if you don't think there's something funny and fishy about that as well, I'm sorry. When you talk about ignorance, we can go on that subject alone for days.
It's just like with the Irish in Mississippi. A lot of people don't realize the Irish were brought to Mexico and a lot of other countries as slaves and workers in the 1800s.
Yeah.
That's why there were so many in Mississippi, and that's why there were so many in Mexico. I believe Mexico and Ireland actually had a war at one time.
Listen, man. Canelo fits the bill that he's a descendant, doesn't he? Look at him.
He don't look Mexican to me.
Look at him.
And I say that as someone who worked at an immigration facility for years.
All I'm saying, brother, is it's like, you see, when I said about calling in, this call-in show, opening the door for conversation, you see?
You can go anywhere at any time about anything. It just doesn't have to be boxing.
But it's about conversation. It's like, because you're speaking something into the atmosphere that many people may not have even had a time. Or maybe they did and just was like, you know what? And then you touch on the subject and all of a sudden they're like, man, I was just thinking, I was going to have a talk with someone. Boom, 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 boom.
But I got to ask another question. I saw you on another channel the other day, and you mentioned Apollo Creed as a jig. Could you please explain that?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Apollo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I ask another question with that? If some of these guys, I mean, I don't know if it's true, but they're saying Boots and some of the other guys may be in Canelo's camp to help him for Crawford. Could they also be considered jigs for doing that?
I will consider anyone a jig who doesn't think of themselves and their own culture first when they come under the auspices of being a man of color, in the instance of what we're specifically speaking on, a black man.
Oh.
If you would consider someone else over yourself and your own first, you're a jig.
Because when I heard it at first, it kind of hurt, because I hadn't seen Rocky since I was a kid. But then when I thought about it, I know it's a movie, and I know it's fictional, and I know they wrote the part, but, Carl Weathers in the 80s was, to me, he was a hero. And to kind of think of his character as a jig, he was a little messed up, but, it's a movie. But I understand exactly what you were saying.
Yeah, yeah. In fact,
he had to play the role for the money.
Listen.
I mean, it was a great story.
I don't think that it was written with the understanding and idea, I'm going to write this jig. You understand? I don't think it was done that way. But however, when you look at the way that things played out, remember, he taught Rocky, or helped train Rocky to defeat Clubber Lang. Clubber Lang represented what the establishment was always against. Clubber Lang was Deontay Wilder. Clubber Lang was George Foreman. Clubber Lang was Mike Tyson. That's what he was.
Do you think that they were thinking about that when they wrote that movie, or do you think it just kind of played out that way?
No, I think it was a way for Stallone, because he had written these stories with these characters and had success previously. It was a way for him to keep the characters involved in what's next. What I didn't like was him killing off Apollo. I didn't like that at all. You know what I mean? But when you look at Apollo breaking his neck to help Rocky, the way it was playing out was that he wanted another favor from Rocky that they never got to.
The rematch.
Right. The third fight. It would have been a trilogy. But when Rocky was defeating Clubber, as the fight turned and Rocky was like starting to turn the tide against Clubber, Apollo was ringside saying, he's getting killed out there. And Paulie was like, he's not getting killed. He's getting mad. And then Rocky started, and Adrian's cheering, come on, Rocky, come on. And he put Clubber down. There's a scene, you can go back and watch it, where Apollo kisses Paulie on the jaw. He's so happy of Rocky's performance that he kisses Paulie on the jaw. Now, everybody knows that Paulie is the biggest scumbag in the story. Always has been. He's the reason that Rocky lost his riches and everything. So, when you put it together, like what I'm talking about, what do you think Apollo was? Apollo was an arrogant fighter who happened to be the heavyweight champion of the world, was very dismissive of anyone else or whatever, and was frolicking in his fame. When he took on the fight for Rocky, the story was originally, what's more American than fighting an Italian on Independence Day? That's what the story was, the original film. That Italian American gave Apollo the fight of his career or whatever, and it ended up like there was a rematch. Rocky won the rematch and became the champion of the world. The way that should have played out is they had a third fight and Apollo beat him, because that's how it usually goes in reality. But we weren't graced with that type of story because it was Stallone's baby. But the more that the stories went on, the more that the coonery came out of Apollo, the jig. It did. You can't dismiss that. So when I said what I said it with an idea toward knowing exactly what I was looking at, brother. You know,
I was a kid when I saw those movies, so I don't think I really understood them like you did. I'll have to go back and watch them, but I understand completely what you're saying.
Yeah.
The way you're breaking it down.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not to say these things to be offensive. It's just that that's how it played out. Like I said, I don't think that Stallone wrote that. It's just like Rocky got more intelligent as the films went on. That's kind of like a misnomer because Rocky wasn't, his elevator didn't go all the way to the top to begin with.
He was a knuckle breaker.
And
a kneecap breaker.
And Adrian was a R word too. The two of them, that's why they fit. If you remember the first Rocky film, when the guy he worked for breaking bones and stuff, the driver was always ribbing Rocky, talking about, hey, why don't you take that girl to the zoo? You know what I mean? Because it was like, dude, it's hilarious. But it was well written. I'm telling you, I am not lying when I say the things that I'm saying. I'm not lying.
It is another thing I don't think people realize. Their child was a special needs child.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
So you have two people who are developmentally delayed. They have a child that's also developmentally delayed.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So, it's something to be said about all of that, bro. Now, I'm going to tell you something. After Rocky 3 and 4, Rocky 5 with Tommy Morrison became a very interesting transition period because Rocky 5 wasn't really, Tommy, whatever. But the film Rocky Balboa, where he had ended up, getting his restaurant and stuff like that. And that was very interesting because it took you back to the real Rocky from the first film. And he had lost Adrian and things like that. He used to go to the graveyard with a chair, a folding chair, and he'd sit there and talk to Adrian. Dude, that's real because that's who he really was. You understand? Doing those kind of things. For a little while, and Mickey actually said it in Rocky 3, you got civilized. And he did to a certain degree. But he shouldn't have got smarter. You understand? But Rocky Balboa, he was back to the real Rocky that kind of like was just rolling with the punches, so to speak, and everything, which is why that film was good. And then, of course, Creed was spawned off of that. But yeah, man. I mean, come on. We could talk about that, but I break it down, and be like, he was definitely, meaning Apollo, a jig, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, he wore the stars and the stripes, didn't he?
Yeah.
Do you
beat to death by Russia.
Listen? But no. Listen, he wore the stars and the stripes the second time he fought. Rocky.
Okay. So I don't remember that.
Yeah, the rematch. That's where he wore the stars and stripes. Or he might have worn it in the first fight. I know he wore it for the first time against Rocky. But what I was getting at is this. Do you think you would have ever seen Muhammad Ali wear the stars and stripes?
No. Clubber Lang wouldn't have wore it either.
But why wouldn't you ever see Ali wear the stars and stripes?
Because he knows what this country has done to him, and that's not what he wants to represent as a man.
Okay. Now that you understand and know that, the character of Apollo Creed was somewhat based on Ali. Did you know that?
I honestly did not know that. Well, I had heard that the story of Rocky was, I think, Ali versus, I don't know if it was
Chuck Wepner. Chuck Wepner.
Okay, Chuck Wepner.
Yeah. Chuck Wepner. And Joe Frazier. And Chuck Wepner. So when you think about it, Apollo wearing the stars and the stripes automatically eliminates him from any kind of consideration of being a great guy like Ali. He may have been vociferous. He may have been a loudmouth. He may have been a clown and everything like that. Flamboyant. Yeah, but not necessarily a great fighter and not necessarily the best. But some people might have you believe that, oh, that was like supposed to be like Ali. No. And that's why I say, could you ever imagine yourself seeing Ali wearing the stars and the stripes?
No.
Now that's an interesting thing right there within itself. So when you heard me say that, and that was in 78's chat, by the way,
okay,
when I called him a jig, absolutely, that's what he was. And I just gave you a full sheet, a layout of as to why. But yeah, go back and watch the films though, because they would be a service. And I guarantee you, when you do, you'll be like, well, damn, I'm serious. You'll be like,
that's the great thing about movies. You can watch a movie as a kid, because I saw it in the 80s when I was a kid, or the 90s, and I saw it a certain way.
Right.
But now, growing up, having the experiences that I do in life, I can see, okay, this person wasn't really the hero. He wasn't great. He was a fool. But, that's just life. But I got one more question. It's a music question, because I know you do the Beats by Sugar. Better song, Please, Please, Please by James Brown, or Say, Say, Say by Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney.
Best?
Better song.
The better song?
Yes, sir.
James Brown.
Okay. Why?
Because he was first.
Okay.
No, it's that simple. Understand that by the time that Paul McCartney got together with Michael Jackson, he did so under the influences of being post James Brown. Remember, Paul McCartney and Wings, and later Paul McCartney by himself, branched out after the experiences of being able to be introduced to soul music. It's not something that he just did being a soulful person. When James Brown did what he was doing, he was a soulful person. Michael grew up admiring James Brown and Jackie Wilson from being a little boy. Remember, to know history makes a difference.
Yes, it does.
And to be able to make assessments off of something like that is, it's more enriching, because it's like, wow, I may have not thought about it that way or whatever, but it's really succinct. It's point driven, just like that.
It was great. You allowed me to have a conversation with you today, Sensei. It's always an honor and a pleasure. I have to go now. I'm going to get back to the chat. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening, sir.
You do the same. Enjoy your holiday. Okay?
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Peace to you.
All right.
Yeah. Great call there. Great call. Great conversation, man. And that's what's up. We try to do our best around here when it comes down to that. That's why I try to tell people all the time, the conversations are important. They're essential to the the show, for us to get what we're communicating out there. Yep. Yeah. We've been at this for a little while. I think I'm about ready to wrap things up. It took a little while for us to get the calls going. We've had some interruptions and everything, but like I've said on many occasions, I've learned to navigate these waters, and we'll deal with what we deal with, you know. But hey, here's what it is. I think it's time to hear from the brother, the focus ball.
Get ready to take your striking game to the next level with the focus ball. Dramatically improved footwork, timing, head movement, hand-eye coordination, reflex, and overall fight IQ. It's lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere. When you don't have a coach to do mitt work, get a focus ball. When you don't have a heavy bag to hit, get a focus ball. When you don't have a sparring partner, get yourself a focus ball. And when you just want to have fun punching and kicking, get a focus ball. When you train with the focus ball, you train your eyes and your brain to read punches so that you can hit and not get hit, making this very simple device a must-have for all combat sports athletes and enthusiasts alike. So if you want to take your striking game to the next level, don't wait. Get the focus ball now.
Yeah, so we're coming to the end of another Answering the Bell. I want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in to us today. Sorry for the little glitches and whatnot, but you know, we still made lemonade out of the lemons. I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC And I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday weekend. Peace to everybody out there. And we'll be back next week with another Answering the Bell. Peace, everybody.